tap on a very sensitive subject, and that is Kundalini energies, sexual energies, in conjunction with the astral stuff that I talked about earlier. And if you don't think that sexual energies have anything to do with your spiritual journey or with your awakening journey, then just leave now, okay? Because this may create a controversy or anger in you. I'm going to talk about something that is not very often illuminated here within this within these spiritual circles. And again, you know this about me. I'm an energy coach. I deal with these things all day long, and I teach others, healers of all professions, doctors, counselors, life coaches, body workers, and so forth, to do the same thing. So for me, talking about Kundalini energies or talking about sexual energies is almost like clinical, all right? So there's no judgment in this, but I do want to clarify one thing, and this is really important to understand for those of you who have issues with, like, say, sexual projection, with recurring sexual encounters, with sexual abuse, with maybe patterns in your relationship that constantly challenge or violate your sexual boundaries, either in the etheric, in the physical, in the spiritual, or in the emotional. And I want to give you just a little bit of a context here, why this is such a common problem for us humans. There is a collective implant that we all have, which in the course of our spiritual awakening, or in the course of increasing our vibratory rate, if you want to formulate this in a more neutral way, is being dissolved. And that is an implant, or a throttle, if you will, between our second and third and fourth chakra. So it says right here. So when we are bound to our very rudimentary survival energy, sort of that animalistic, that reptilian part of our brain, then we will have a very strong response to a very simple stimuli, such as, of course, fight, flight, or freeze, but also sexuality. And for most people on this planet, when their energies begin to speed up, they kind of get stuck here in this place. And if you've studied Eastern philosophies or ancient texts, or if you're a martial artist, you may know what I'm talking about. It is this chi energy, or prana, or whatever you want to name it, okay? For me as an energy worker, these terms are all limiting, so I'm just talking about energies here. When they get stuck in the sacral area, in this navel area, then they feel sexual. And so most people interpret their life force as a part of their sexual expression. Unfortunately, a lot of the spiritual and groups or teachings or schools have hijacked that whole notion, that whole limitation here, and created a whole sort of philosophy of how your sexual energies are linked to your spiritual journey, and how you need to liberate yourself sexually in order to ascend. Is this true or false? From an energy work standpoint, that is not correct. But there's truth in it. All right, so what we need to learn is to balance and dissipate that throttle, that block that we have here in our sacral area, and allow this rising life force energy that is emerging in us as we are awakening, as we awaken up, as we wake up to our energetic senses, to flow through second and third chakra, past our willpower, past our greed, our ego stuff, our wantingness, our lust, our needingness, into our heart. This is one of the major teachings of your spiritual awakening. And you do not need to learn how to do certain sexual techniques or open yourself up. This is one of the most deceiving and misleading and abusive spiritual misdirections. And I can't even begin to tell you how many women come to me with these experiences with these abuse experiences within spiritual groups or within relationships that use this as a sort of a spiritual goal. All right. So again, here I'm very serious about this, and the way you can practically implement this is to dissolve, of course, all the things that are repressed here in that second and third chakra region for you, and the collective karmic attachments that we have here as men and women is the attachment to pain and suffering and sacrifice for women in connection with sexuality and love, and the attachment to power and control in regards to sexuality and love in men. And if you will, you can see this as our human collective task to transcend this. And if you may feel this is a bit judgmental right now. I don't mean this in a judgmental way. It is something that we all encounter, men and women. Women, of course, have just as many control and manipulation and power mechanisms as men do, but through our aptitude and our disposition, our karmic disposition, it is the power over or the overpowering, the need for power in men that creates some of these sexual abuse situations, and it is the pain and the sacrifice and the stain in women that creates this emotional abuse towards men. And I know this is a sensitive subject, but I wanted to at least mention this here for the energy tip for next week, because next week is gonna rattle your relationships, guys. And I've said this to quite a few people here coaching this week already. Tough love. You're gonna have to redefine your relationships. You're gonna have to renegotiate. You're gonna have to come up with new rules of engagement. Sexual projection, emotional manipulation, blaming, codependency, victimhood, those are all dysfunctional, low vibratory, negative energies. All right? So don't get hung up on these fancy dancy energy work techniques. If you have a dysfunctional relationship, well, sorry, you are asking for it. You inviting those energies in, and it is not your partner's fault. It has to do with some of these unresolved shadow and shadow aspects and soul fragments that you have. So please, don't blame yourself either. Don't beat yourself up. You know, see things the way they are. And when I say tough love, I mean there's a strictness that you need about your boundaries. And any woman here that finds herself in a situation where the guy says, "Oh, you're just not spiritual enough, and if you were, you would have sex with me, or you would open up more sexually." Bullshit. Okay? If this is not what you want, if this is not what you feel, do not fall for this. Whether this is in 3D or in your dreams or in your etheric experience. All right? So again, I'm apologizing for being so serious. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.